Rahman's avva. Rahman was a young and soft-spoken employee who worked in a BPO. He was also an active volunteer in our foundation. He would not talk without reason and would never boast about his achievements. Rahman was a perfectionist, so any assignment given to him was done exceedingly well. He worked for a foundation on the weekends and was very kind to the children in the orphanage. He spent his own money and also bought sweets for the children. I really liked him. Since we worked closely together, he learned that I am from North Karnataka, from Dharwad district. My language has that area's accent and my love for Dharwad food is very well known. One day Rahman came and asked me, "Madam, if you are free this Sunday, will you come to my house? My mother and sister are visiting me. Incidentally, my mother is also from Dharwad district. My family has read your columns in Kannada and your books too." When I told them that I am working with you, they expressed their earnest desire to meet you. "Is it possible for you to have lunch with us? Will you assure me that I'll get a good Dharwad meal?" I joked. "I assure you, madam, my mother is a great cook." "Come on, Rahman, every boy gives this compliment to his mother. However bad she may be at cooking, it is the mother's love that makes the food great." "No, she really is an amazing cook. Even my wife says so." "Then she must be really great because no daughter-in-law praises her mother-in-law cooking without merit," I smiled. "By the way, which village in Dharwad district do they come from?" He told me the name of a village near Ranebennur that I had never heard of. I happily agreed to visit them for lunch. That Sunday, I took some flowers along. Rahman's newly constructed apartment was on Banerghatta Road near the zoo. When I entered his home, I met his wife, Salma. She was a smart and good-looking girl. She worked as a teacher in the kindergarten nearby. Then he called out his avva. A mother is usually referred as avva in North Karnataka. An old lady with grey hair came out of the kitchen. Rahman introduced her. "This is my mother." I was a bit surprised. She was not quite what I had expected. She was wearing a huge bindi, the size of a 25 paisa coin, and ilkal siri with lots of green bangles on both arms. She kept the sari pallu on her head. She had a contented smile on her face, and with folded hands she said, "Namaste." Rahman's sister entered from another room. She was so different from Rahman. Rahman was fair and very handsome. His sister was tall and dark. She was wearing a cotton sari with a smaller bindi than her mother and also had 2 gold bangles on her hands. Rahman said, "This is my sister Usha. She stays in Hirekerur. Both her husband and she are school teachers." I felt confused after meeting Rahman's mother and sister, but I did not ask any questions. After I sat down comfortably, Usha said, "Madam, we love your stories because we feel connected to them. I teach some of your children's stories at school." Salma joined the conversation. "Even I like them too, but my students are too young to understand." Rahman smiled and said, "You must be surprised to see my mother and sister. I want to share my story with you." His mother went back to the kitchen and Usha started cleaning the table. Salma went to help her mother-in-law. Only the 2 of us remained. "Madam, you must be wondering why my mother and sister are Hindus while I am a Muslim. Only you can understand and appreciate my life story because I have seen you helping people from all religions and communities without bias. I remember your comment to me, we can't choose the community or religion that we are born into, so we should never think that our community is our identity." Rahman paused, then continued, "Madam, I believe in that too. I have also been brought up that way. I want to share my life and my perspective with you." Rahman started his story. 30 years ago, Kashibai and Datturam lived on the outskirts of a village with their 6 months old daughter, Usha. They looked after the 10-acre field and their landlord Shrikant Desai, who lived in Bombay. Shrikant only came once a year to collect the revenue. The field was very large and it was too much for Kashibai and Datturam to handle. So they requested the landlord to get another family to stay with them and help with the field. They also welcomed the thought of having company. Shrikant contacted his acquaintances and found a suitable family. Soon, Fatima B and Hussain Saab came to the village. They occupied one portion of the house and the other portion stayed with Kashibai and Datturam. Hussain Saab and Datturam got along very well. However, Kashibai and Fatima B didn't see eye to eye at all. It is not that they were bad women, but their nature were very different. Kashibai was loud, very frank and hardworking. Fatima B was quiet, lazy and an introvert. Inevitably, there was a fight. It all started with a hen. Kashibai's hen would come to Fatima B's portion of the house and lay eggs. Fatima B wouldn't return the eggs because she thought that her hen had laid them. Kashibai even tried coloring her hen to distinguish it from Fatima B's. Both the ladies shared a common well and would fight because both wanted to wash their vessels and clothes almost always at the same time. They also fought about their goats. Fatima B's goats came and ate Kashibai's flowers and leaves, which she used for her puja. Sometimes Kashibai's goat went to Fatima B's place and left their droppings behind. Fatima B wouldn't return the droppings either. What's so great about droppings? I interrupted. Madam, goat droppings are used as manure. Oh, I understand. Please continue, I urged Rahman. The fights continued and sometimes Kashibai felt that she had made a mistake to tell their landlord that they wanted neighbors. She felt that she had been very happy without Fatima B. Fatima B also wanted to leave the farm and go to some other village, but Hussain Saab didn't agree. He would say, "You women fight about unnecessary things. This is a good opportunity for us to make money. The land is fertile and there is plenty of water. Our landlord is good and hardly visits. We can easily grow vegetables. Where can I get such a work nearby? You should also become active like Kashibai and drop your ego. Try to adjust with her." The same conversation would happen on the other side of the house. Datturam would tell his wife, "Don't be so aggressive. You should mellow down like Fatima. Though she is lazy, she is good-natured." But as usual, both women never listened to their husbands. As time went by, Kashibai's daughter Usha turned 2 years old. Fatima B loved children and enjoyed watching Usha play in the field. Fatima B liked henna a lot. Every month she colored her hands with henna from the plant in the field, and Usha always joined her. Usha was fascinated with the beautiful orange color. She would come home and tell her mother, "Why can't you also color your hands like Fatima Kaku?" Kaku is equivalent to aunt in the local language. This comment irritated Kashibai. She said, "Fatima can afford to color her hand because her husband works and also helps in the kitchen. She sits on the bed and listens to the radio. If I do that, will your father come and work in the kitchen?" Fatima B would overhear their conversation, but she still continued her friendship with little Usha. When Fatima became pregnant, she became even lazier. She eventually reached full term and a distant relative came to help her with her delivery. A few days later, there was a festival in the village and Datturam and his family went to attend it. When they came back, Fatima B was not there. She was already in the hospital in critical condition and had delivered a son. The house was in complete silence, but the silence was deafening to Kashibai's ears. She started crying. She was very sad because Fatima B was in hospital in the serious condition. The next day, they learned that Fatima B was no more. Hussain Saab was left with the newborn son. The midwife stayed for a month and left. It was an uphill task for Hussain Saab to look after a small boy. Neither Hussain Saab nor Fatima B had any relatives who would take care of the little one. Most of them were coolies, and a newborn child would only be a burden to their relatives. Tatturam was very sympathetic and allowed Hussain Saab to work less in the field, but taking care of small baby alone was very difficult. One night the child was crying non-stop and Kashibai could not take it. She felt that enough was enough. After all, it was a little boy. A woman is so different from a man when it comes to rearing a child. Her motherly instinct made her go next door and tap on Hussain Saab's door without even waiting for her husband. When Hussain Saab opened the door, she told him, "Hussain Saab, give me the baby. I am a mother. I know how to handle him." She picked up the baby boy, held him in her pallu and brought him to her house, holding him tightly to the chest. The baby boy stopped crying immediately. For the first time since the baby was born, Hussain Saab slept through the night comfortably. The next day, Kashibai told Hussain Saab, "I will look after this child until you get married again. Don't worry." She forgot her enmity with Fatima B and even felt ashamed. She thought that she should have been nicer to Fatima B. Now Kashibai did not even bother about where the droppings of the goats fell or where the hens laid their eggs. For her, looking after the baby was more important. The baby was named Rahman, and to everyone's surprise, Hussain Saab did not remarry. Rahman grew up in Kashibai's house and started calling her Avva, and Usha became his Akka. Rahman continued to sleep in his father's house, but as soon as the sun rose, he ran to Kashibai's house to get ready. While Usha bathed on her own, Kashibai bathed little Rahman. She gave them breakfast, packed their lunches, and walked them to school. Though Usha was 2 years older than Rahman, Kashibai made sure that they studied in the same class. Kashibai worked in the field in the afternoon and brought the children back in the evenings. Hussain Saab cooked Rahman's dinner, and Rahman would go back and sleep with his father at night. This continued for 10 years. When Rahman was 10 and Usha was 12 years old, Hussain Saab fell ill, and all his savings were spent on his treatment. Meanwhile, Kashibai purchased 2 she-buffaloes and started a milk business. She started earning more money than her husband. That same year, Hussain Saab died of tuberculosis. Rahman was left all alone. There were hardly any people at Hussain Saab's burial. A distant uncle came and told the mullah that he would take care of Rahman. But when the time came to take Rahman away, the uncle did not turn up at all. Without a second thought, Datturam and Kashibai took him in. Rahman was happy to stay in Kashibai's house. Kashibai was very conscious about Rahman's religion. Every Friday she sent him for namaz, and on holidays she sent him on Quran classes at the local mosque. She told him to participate in all Muslim festivals, even though there were very few Muslims in the village. Rahman also took part in the Hindu festival celebrated in the house. Datturam and Kashibai bought 2 cycles for both the kids. Rahman and Usha cycled to high school, and later they also rode their bicycles to the same college. Eventually they graduated, and that day Kashibai told Rahman, "Unfortunately, we don't have a picture of your parents. So turn towards Mecca and pray to Allah. Pray to Fatima B and Hussain Saab. They will bless you. You are now grown up and independent. Usha is getting married next month. My responsibility to both Usha and you is now over." Kashibai's affection and devotion overwhelmed Rahman, who could not remember his own mother's face. He prayed to Allah and his parents and then touched Kashibai's feet. He said, "Avva, you are my Ammi. You are my Mecca." Rahman got a job in BPO in Bangalore and left home. He worked for different firms for a few years, saw growth in his career, and started earning a good salary. He met Salma at a friend's wedding and fell in love with her. After getting Kashibai and Datturam's approval, he got married to Salma. When he finished his story, Rahman was very emotional and in tears. I was amazed at Kashibai. She was uneducated but very advanced in human values. I was surprised and humbled by the largeness of her heart. Kashibai had raised the boy with his own religion and still loved him like her son. By this time, lunch was ready and Usha invited me to eat. While having the delicious lunch, I asked Usha, "What made you decide to visit here?" "I have holidays at school and I took an extended vacation so I could come for Panchami." Panchami is a festival celebrated mostly by girls, particularly married women, who come to their brother's house. It is similar to Rakhi festival in the north, where a brother acknowledges his sister's love. I recalled our history and remembered that Queen Karunavati had sent a Rakhi to Emperor Humayun seeking his protection. Now I looked at the wall in the dining room and for the first time I noticed two pictures in Rahman's house, one of Mecca and the other of Krishna, both hanging side by side.